Ever find yourself just tapping your foot along to a song, like totally lost in the rhythm?
It's amazing how music can just grab you like that.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we're diving deep into today, rhythm.
It's one of those fundamental elements of music.
Absolutely. And we've got our trusty ABRSM Grade 1 theory notes to guide us. Sort of like unlocking the secrets of how music flows through time.
Think of it as a bit of a roadmap.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
So let's get things off with the most basic question. What is rhythm, really?
You know, it's interesting because we often feel rhythm intuitively.
We do.
We tap our feet, we dance. But when you actually break it down, rhythm is basically the organization of sounds over time. It's how music moves, how it grooves.
So that's that sense of movement that really defines rhythm.
Exactly. It's like arranging words of different lengths into a sentence. You have short, snappy words and then longer flowing words. Rhythm does the same thing with sound.
Okay, I like that. It's like the punctuation of sound. It gives it shape and structure. And speaking of structure, music also has a pulse, right?
Absolutely. The pulse is that steady heartbeat you feel in music, that constant beat that drives the music forward.
Like if you were to tap your foot along to a song, that's you feeling the pulse.
Exactly. Think of it like a metronome ticking away, keeping everything in sync.
Okay, I'm with you. So pulse is the steady beat, the heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Then what are the beats?
Good question. The beats are the individual counts within that pulse.
Ah, okay.
Like dividing that steady flow into equal steps.
Got it. So we've got the pulse, the overall flow, and then the beats, the individual steps.
Yeah.
Now where does pitch fit into all of this?
Pitch. This adds a whole new dimension to the rhythmic landscape. Pitch is all about how high or low a note sounds.
Okay.
You can think about it visually. Imagine a staircase. The higher steps represent higher pitches, and the lower steps represent lower pitches.
So it's like a musical staircase.
Exactly. And this is actually how we see it represented on the staff.
Ah, the staff. Those 5 lines with all the little notes.
Yeah. Precisely. The higher a note sits on the staff, the higher the pitch. The lower the note, the lower the pitch.
It's like a visual map of the sounds.
Yes. And just like language uses an alphabet to represent sounds, music has its own special set of letters for pitches.
Right. The musical alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, and G.
Exactly. 7 notes that repeat as we go higher or lower on that musical staircase.
It's all coming together. But how do we know how long to play each note?
That's where time values come into play. They tell us the duration of each note, how long to hold a specific pitch.
So some notes are held longer than others.
Exactly. It's just like in speech. Some words are short and quick, like cat, while others are long and drawn out, like hippopotamus.
I see. So music has short notes and long notes. What are some of the notes we might encounter early on in our musical journey?
Well, you'll definitely come across quarter notes and eighth notes. These tell you how long to hold each pitch.
Okay, what about those eighth notes? Or quavers, as I've heard them called. Those funny little notes with the flags.
Yes, quavers. Those are the fast ones. They often come in groups, beamed together with a bar connecting their flags.
Yeah.
And here's a key point. 2 beamed quavers equal 1 beat.
Right. One of those steps within the pulse we talked about. 2 quavers to a beat. It's all connecting. But how's music organized on the page? It can't just be an endless stream of notes, right?
You're right. We use bar lines to divide music into measures. Think of them as the punctuation marks of music. They help us group notes together.
So those vertical lines act as like fences, separating measures. That makes sense. But how do we know how many beats go in each measure?
That's where we get to time signatures. They're like a secret code at the beginning of a piece of music telling us how many beats are in each measure.
Like a recipe for rhythm.
Exactly.
Interesting. So how do time signatures work? They look a bit like fractions, don't they?
They do. The top number tells you how many beats are in each measure, and the bottom number tells you what kind of note gets 1 beat.
So it's like a set of instructions on how to count the music. So if I saw a time signature like 44, what would that mean?
That means there are 4 beats in each measure, and a quarter note gets 1 beat. It's the most common time signature you'll come across, often called common time.
So that's why it's called common time.
Exactly. And sometimes it's even written as a big C.
Okay, I've seen that. And for ABRSM Grade 1, is this like the main time signature we'll be working with?
Exactly. 44 is a great place to start.
It's like the foundation of rhythm. Wow, you've covered a lot of ground. Rhythm is the organization of sound over time. We talk about pulse and beats, pitch, and the musical alphabet. and even crack the code of time signatures.
That's quite a journey for one deep dive.
It is, but like with any journey, this is just the beginning.
Exactly. There's so much more to explore with rhythm.
For sure. And as our listeners continue on their musical journey, what's one thing they should keep in mind?
Well, now that you know about time signatures, pay close attention to how they shape the feel of different pieces of music. Can you hear the difference between a march in 24 and a waltz in 34?
Ooh, that's a great challenge.
It really makes you listen in a whole new way.
It does. Well, on that note, I think we've come to the end of today's deep dive.
Time flies when you're having fun with rhythm.
It certainly does. And in our next deep dive, we'll be exploring even more rhythmic building blocks.
There's always more to learn.
Always. Until then, keep those ears tuned in and those toes tapping.
And keep the rhythm alive.